Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Suzie. This is irunthings, and in this video, by popular demand, we're talking about how I went from a 10K to marathon in just 1 year. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Suzie and this is irunthings. In this channel, I talk a lot about running. I film myself running. I film my races. I review products. So if this is something that interests you, please hit subscribe, or at the very least, just stick around and watch a couple of my other videos and see if this interests you. A couple weeks ago, I asked you on my community tab about my next topic, which video you would be interested in watching next. And this was the one that got the most votes. So finally, I am filming this video, and it's been actually requested a few other times before this. So I'm kind of late bringing this up to you guys, but I hope you didn't mind the wait, and I hope this makes it up to you. So today we are going to be talking about how I went from running a 10K to running a marathon in less than a year. First thing I have to say is that this was not premeditated at all. Running happened for me. It really was not a thing. I was always curious when I would see people running outside, and I would be wondering why they enjoy running and what was that made people run races. But I always thought it was something out of reach because I was never athletic ever. Always the person that would not be able to do handstands, not even in the pool, when gravity actually is overruled by water. I was really bad at all those athletic things that other kids like climbing trees, or that was not me. I was the most boring kid on the planet. I would be sitting in a corner reading a book. My brother started running because he was trying to lose weight, and then just to lose the last 5, 6, 7 pounds, he picked up on running, and then just to kind of support him, I started running as well. To give him a boost of confidence, we signed up for our first race together, and we ran our first 10K together. But then after that, what happened is that I got beaten by the running bag. I didn't do particularly well in that race. As a matter of fact, my first 10K, I'm going to be open and honest with you, I ran it in 1 hour, 11 minutes, which is definitely nothing to call home about. I was excited though to accomplish something that I never thought I could. And I figured if I can run a 10K with 12 weeks of training, maybe I can run a half marathon, put in a little bit of more training. So my brother gave me a book called The Big Book of Running, which is published by Runner's World. And I read the book, maybe a day and a half, 2 days. I thought I knew everything about running, which obviously you can't know everything you need to know about running. I'm still learning almost 7 years later. So yeah, I didn't know anything. I only knew that I thought I knew everything, and I felt very empowered to tackle the half marathon distance. Serendipitously, a friend of mine, so you're gonna see a trend in my running life because everything happened kind of by accident. I put myself in the spotlight, yes, but then luck came to me, because what happened is that my best friend, who's not a runner, learned that I wanted to run a half marathon, and she introduced me to a mother she knew through school because their daughters were friends, their little kids were friends. So she introduced me to this woman called Jennifer, and you've seen her in my videos. I've run many races with her. We started texting each other. I asked her a lot of questions. She was super patient with me. She answered a lot of my questions. And then she said, why don't you sign up with me for the Love Run Half Marathon in Philadelphia? I actually told my husband, how do you feel about me running this half marathon? And he was like, yeah, sure, do it, why not? My husband thought it was just a passing fad, which obviously 7 years later, almost, it's not a fad, it's here to stay. But at that point, he was just excited to see me being active and I guess going out and meeting friends, which I'm a very sociable person, but I moved to the States and really all my friends stayed behind in Spain. So to me, running truly was the thing that made me belong. Like belong, find my tribe, find my community of people that were most like me. And it was a little bit by chance, because when my best friend introduced me to Jennifer, we started texting very often and chatting, and then ultimately she ended up because of where she lives, she ended up picking me up to drive me to the Love Run Marathon in Philadelphia. So we started together, then we each ran our individual race, but she drove me back home. So I told my one friend, the one who introduced us, I think you introduced me to a person that talks more than me. Like, I've never met anybody that actually could talk all the time other than Jennifer. Like, she speaks more than me, like a lot more. So it was kind of cool to meet someone that was energetic like me and who liked sharing and talking and just having a good time just sharing. So that was pretty cool. And then after that, I actually started thinking about, okay, I ran a half marathon, and I ran that half marathon in 2 hours 18. So only 3 months, not even 3 months, like 10 weeks after running my 10K in 1 hour 11, I ran my first half marathon in 2 hours 18. So I consider that actually a good time, given that I only had 10 more weeks to train. I thought that was a great improvement. I thought, let me think about this. Maybe I could run a marathon. And then I started doing research on different marathons. And that's when I thought about signing up for New York City. So I put in for the lottery, New York City. I wasn't picked. And then as a second choice, I decided to sign up for the lottery for Marine Corps Marathon, and I got it. My training for the Love Run Marathon in Philadelphia was a phenomenal training. I picked a training plan from Runkeeper. I stuck with it. I ran all throughout the hard months, like January, February, and the beginning of March. Those are really hard months here in the area where I live, in Eastern Pennsylvania, and I didn't miss a single run. I managed to go out and run even throughout the winter. I was in great shape, all things considered, given that I really was a couch potato before my 10K. And I had just picked up on this new hobby, and these were great. I loved the Runkeeper app. I love the training plans from Runkeeper. The training plan I picked was a training plan by Jeff Gaudette, which included a lot of strides, some interval training, and then long runs. And the long runs were 14 milers. So it's very similar to the training plan that Coach Paul, my coach, has put together for me right now, the one I'm running with right now. Although the one I'm on right now, it's more intense. It has more high-speed training that I used to do when I first started running. But nonetheless, I think they are actually, all things considered, they're pretty similar philosophies. What happened after that is that Runkeeper sort of revamped the app, and the plans by Jeff Gaudette were not available anymore. And that was a little bit disappointing, because then I was lost without a training plan to follow. I just started Googling other training plans, and I came up to Endomondo, which doesn't exist anymore. I followed this training plan with Endomondo, and it was just not the plan for me. First of all, it really never took me all the way up to 20 miles. The longest run was 16, which as a novice runner, there are different schools of thought, but now in retrospect, that was not the right plan for me, because I never went again past those 16 miles. A marathon is 26.2, so I really wasn't prepared. That number one. And number two, another thing, very important thing that happened is that I missed a lot of runs. I don't think I ran any of the tempo runs as truly tempos. I think I always ran them slower. And I made many mistakes during that training cycle, because I probably was running my easy runs too fast, my intervals too slow. 3 things happened. The training plan was not the right one for me. Second one, I didn't run the training runs the right way. And number 3, I missed key workouts because of work, because of other family issues. So yeah, it was not a good training cycle for me. Nonetheless, I arrived to Marine Corps Marathon thinking I was going to be able to finish in 4 hours 30, which did not happen. Spoiler alert. So what happened during Marine Corps Marathon is that, first of all, the day was really hot. It didn't start hot. We started at I think it was 50 degrees, but by the time 3 hours rolled around, it was so unbelievably, it was one of those days that the temperature spiked quickly. I think it was like 85, 86 degrees 3 hours in. So I was not prepared for the hills. Marine Corps Marathon, it's not extremely hilly, but there are hills. I was not prepared for them. I trained in flat the whole training cycle. I was not prepared for the length. I did not have trained properly to fuel during a marathon. That was another huge mistake. And then they ran out of water. So at mile 17, it was really, really hot. I think there were runners, some of them ahead of me, picking more cups, or maybe they just didn't have enough water overall. I don't know what the culprit really was. But when I crossed the water station at mile 17, they didn't have water. I had to take Gatorade. And I hadn't trained taking Gatorade and goo combined. So I was afraid to take my goo with a Gatorade. So I was very dehydrated, and by mile 21, 22, I really was seriously dehydrated. Like, I think it was this close to having to be put with an IV. It was really, really bad. I started slowing down. I was walking. It was a miserable experience, you guys. I don't recommend training for a marathon without professional help if it's your first marathon. Going back in retrospect, I would either have been a lot more conservative and not have aimed for time, because obviously 4 hours 30 was just not the goal. I still, almost 7 years later, I haven't run 4 hours 30, and I just wasn't prepared in any way, shape, or form. I didn't know enough about running. I didn't know enough about myself. I didn't know enough about my body. So it was just a miserable experience. However, I managed to finish in 5 hours 23, which is, all things considered, not tremendously bad. I think I was like 80th percentile. There was only 20% of runners behind me. Everything hurt at the end. I remember stopping at the medical tent and there was a guy there, a volunteer, giving ice. And I told him, I need ice. And he said, where do you need it? I can tape it around your, whatever it is, your knees, your ankles, where is it? I can tape it around. And I said, everything hurts. And he was like, okay, concentrate, focus, and tell me, where does it hurt the most? Because I can't obviously put ice all around your legs, but I can, if you pick a spot, I can tape the ice around your leg. So I think it picked the left, I think it was my left knee that hurt the most, and he just put ice around my left knee, and yeah, and it was really painful. And again, I just don't recommend anybody do a marathon without having at least 2 years of running under your belt. I barely had one. My first race was December 31st. It was a 10K, and then I ran Vancouver Marathon in October. I think it was October 14th or something like that. I think it's kind of midway through October. So it was not even, it was 10 months. So I don't recommend it. I think now that decision was pretty stupid. Now, obviously I jumped in the cold pool water face first, and now I'm better for it. But it's not something that, thinking back, will do again. I don't think I should have done it. I think I should have waited. And I have just more half marathons under my belt. So then after that, I turned around pretty quickly and I signed up for more races and more marathons. And then here we are. I signed up for Philadelphia Marathon, which was a completely different experience. I waited another year to run another marathon. I ran plenty of other races, 10Ks, 5Ks, and half marathons that 1 year. And Philadelphia Marathon was a phenomenal experience for me. I ran Vancouver Marathon in 5 hours 23, and I ran Philadelphia Marathon in 4 hours 57, pretty uneventfully, with no pain, without hitting the wall, fueling to perfection, hydrating to perfection. So yeah, so there's always time to sort of do things better, and I hope that is your experience. I want your first marathon to be a memorable experience. I want your first marathon not to be like mine, because mine was not. I actually have a video, I think it was my first video I ever published on this channel. Maybe it was my second video, which is a recap of my Vancouver Marathon. I'll link it up here so you guys can go check it out. I cried at several points during the race, and I didn't think I was going to finish. So go watch that video. So if you managed to get to this video because the algorithm presented it to you, subscribe for more content and share with us what marathon maybe are you running next. As always, run fearlessly, guys. Bing!